Hello. It has been a minute since I've recorded a podcast episode, and I'm excited to be back. It's just me this time, obviously. Don't have a guest, and it's also late at night, but I've been kind of avoiding recording this for a long time, just waiting for the perfect moment to feel ready and rested and like really fully enthusiastic, and that moment just never seems to come. You might tell I have freaking bags under my eyes, it looks like, if you could see the video. But yeah, I've been pretty tired. Well, let me tell you guys what we've been up to if you don't know already. So, me and a couple friends have started running our own ayahuasca retreats, which has been really amazing. It's been a goal of mine for a really long time and a goal of all of ours for a really long time. So, it's pretty amazing to think back at last December when we started. It's November now when I'm recording this of 2025, and oh, the light just went weird. But yeah, we've been doing these retreats for almost a year now, and it's pretty amazing. And it's truly what I really want to do and what we all really want to do. And it's probably the most rewarding, fulfilling job I could ever think of. And it's also exhausting. It's just a lot of work to not only like build your own business and run your own business and do all the behind the scenes things that need to happen, but also the intense work that we do at the retreats and between the retreats with energetic stuff and emotional stuff. So, first, I'll say if you guys listening are interested in doing an ayahuasca retreat with us, we would absolutely love to have you. Or if anyone you know wants to try ayahuasca, send them our way. Our company is called Sowa Charana, and that's SOWA. Charana is CHARANA. Sowa is a Shipibo word. So, Shipibo is where Lydia, our maestra, our teacher, our healer, our shaman, as some people call her, she is Shipibo from the Shipibo lineage, and that's also where we learned um, the ways of ayahuasca ceremonies is from her in the Shipibo way. And so Soa in Shipibo means cleaning or to clean, and Charana is a Sanskrit word, and we blended these Shipibo and Sanskrit words together because that's a lot like us and how we do our work. During ceremonies, Lydia, as well as my two teammates, Ben and Kevin, they sing a lot in Shipibo to do their healing songs. And we also sing in Sanskrit mantras. So we're bringing together multiple types of healing and multiple forms of singing. Oh, and my power just went out. So my power did not go out. My light bulb just went out. Now I'm just sitting on my floor in the other room where I have a working light bulb. Anyway, if you guys want to join our retreats or if you have any questions, you can message me on our email. It's goodmedicineclub@gmail.com. Or you can also find me on Instagram. It's _truebrit, TRUEBRITT. You can message me on Instagram. You can find us at Sowa Charana on Instagram as well, or at Good Medicine Club. So you can find us at a lot of different places, but please don't hesitate to reach out if you have any questions at all about joining our retreats. Currently, we do not have our own retreat center. That's definitely our goal. And right now, we're just renting out from different spaces. So we have one that we're renting out from in Pucallpa, which is the jungle in Peru, a jungle in Peru. And we also have a couple retreat centers that we're working with. So far, just one, but we're hoping to add another one next year in the Sacred Valley, which is where we all live. So those are some options. Currently, we're only offering 1 week and 2 week retreats, which are 3 ceremonies and 6 ceremonies, respectively. And if you have any questions about those and the length and what you think you want to do and where you want to drink, again, any questions, please reach out to me and just let me know. So I just wanted to give everyone an update on what I've been up to, what we've been working on. We've been busy, but we've been really happy, and it is incredibly rewarding, fun, fulfilling work. It's amazing, and I would love to see you guys there. So we would love to see more people come into our retreats and getting the healing that they need and that they deserve. So that's the first order of business. Second of all, as I said when I got on here, which is like I've been kind of avoiding coming back on here because I haven't been feeling like so great, which is fine. I also wanted to come on here and just say that, like, it's fine that we're not feeling okay all the time. And I'm trying to get better at not just presenting myself when I'm like the best version of me and feeling so good, and also being true Brit, bringing all of the authentic parts of me online and together. And nothing crazy has been happening in my life recently that would make me feel, the ways I've been feeling, but the ways I've been feeling recently are just tired and grumpy sometimes, annoyed, and sometimes just like, oh, I just want to give up, which I don't stay in that headspace for that long because I know I'm not going to give up. So that's not even an option. But I do know that all of these emotions have a place and they just want to be felt. So I can sit and feel that for a couple minutes and then understand that hitting that kind of wall makes me even more determined and just leads to more determination where I realize I'm not giving up. So that means I have to find a way to make this happen and make this work. And I've also been learning so much about myself, as I always do, I guess. But I continue to learn a lot about myself and other people and relationships, which is always ultimately good. But something that I've been working on consistently recently are boundaries. And I'm kind of like so sick of that word. Every time I say it, I just want to be like, oh, boundaries. It's so gross. But they're so important. And the more that I realize, like, the more that I know what I want and what I need and who I am, then it makes communicating my boundaries so much easier. And you might already know this, but just in case you don't, like boundaries for me are, like I said, it's about knowing what you want and what you stand for and then communicating those. It's not about putting a boundary on someone else's behavior. It's about putting on a boundary for yourself of what you will accept and what you will not accept. And for me, it does get easier every time you have a hard conversation with someone about your boundaries, but it's never easy for me. Like, I still don't love having uncomfortable conversations, but it has gotten easier. And the process for me usually is like, I start to feel kind of angry or annoyed. And usually that's my first signal of like, oop, someone's crossed a boundary. And a lot of the times, most of the times maybe, it's not their fault because I haven't communicated that that's a boundary for me, or maybe I haven't even realized it's a boundary. And so instead of being like annoyed that I'm annoyed or judging myself for being annoyed, it's actually a really cool time for me to be like, okay, cool. I have another opportunity to see what is getting to me. Like, did someone cross a boundary that I've communicated, or did someone cross a boundary that I haven't communicated and I didn't even know existed? Which is a cool opportunity. And then I get to go deeper on that and see, okay, where is the boundary here and how can I communicate that well? And I've also been working through like working with anger because anger, I mean, some people actually they seem to love it and other people seem really uncomfortable with it, just like the rest of the emotions. But for me, like I guess sometimes it feels like anger does give me this energy, this determination to make a change, to communicate something that I need or something that I want. And I don't need to like sit in it forever, but I do need to feel it. And especially like if you've done emotional work or self work on yourself for a while, you might get caught in the trap that I have of like, and I've probably talked about this on the podcast before, but of trying to rush through the steps of being like, oh, I know that there's probably sadness and hurt under this anger. So let's just feel sad about it instead. And my whole body is like, no, we need to feel angry. There's some reason why you should feel angry about this because you need to take an action. You need to have a conversation with someone. You need to make a change. If you just go into sadness, then you might not actually want to make a change or have motivation to have a conversation. So to me, it feels a little bit more uncomfortable than sadness, but it's still not so bad anymore because I know there's a purpose for it. There's something in my body's trying to tell me that I need to take action on. So that's been really cool. And which gets me to my next thing, and that is knowing what you need and what you want and what you desire. I'm in this Vita coaching program to become a sex, love, and relationship coach, and I'm getting pretty close to finishing the program. It's taken 2 years. It'll probably take a little more than 2 years. It's been incredible, so much information. A huge part of being a coach on that is getting people to get clarity, get clear on what they desire. What is it you want in life? What are you looking for? And it's really interesting because being an ayahuasca facilitator and working with plant medicine, we do a lot of digging in the dark. We do a lot of bringing up the shadows and bringing up the darkness, the things that we don't actually really want to look at, but they need to be looked at, they need to be felt. A lot of past, a lot of trauma, a lot of healing. And with the Vita coaching stuff, it's a lot of let's look at the future and see where do you want to go, get clear on that, and see what's holding you back from getting you to the spot where you want to be. And a big part of that is knowing what you want. And sometimes it can take people a really long time to get clear on what they actually want. And I had personal experience with this the last few weeks, or I guess it was a couple months ago at this point, but I realized like I don't really know what I want in relationships. And I realize I've been taking a lot of shit for most of my life. And I have gotten so much better at that, especially in my 30s, but it's still there. It still lingers there a lot more subtly, a lot more quietly. But I realize like I don't even know if I'm taking shit from someone if I don't know where my boundaries are. And I don't know where my boundaries are if I don't know what I want and what I need and what I feel like I deserve. And so I had to get really clear on what do I want? What do I need? In relationships, especially. And it can be tough to get honest with yourself about that because you might have someone in your mind. Like, as an example, if it's your mom, you're like, well, she would never go for that. Like, she would never be okay with that. But it's like, well, we have to take that person out of the picture and just keep coming back to you. Like, in an ideal world, like, what do you need out of this relationship? What do you want? And getting clear on that has really helped me so much in all of my relationships. Another thing that's really helped me is roles, getting clear on roles, like who's in what role in all of my relationships. Something I was reflecting on is like my romantic relationships. So many of them, I have been the mom, and the guy has been my child, essentially, which is like ugh, gross. But I think the more I looked at that, that happens so often. And it's not necessarily one person's fault, but I do think one person can change the roles of a relationship. Like, for example, if me and him started in this romantic relationship as two adults, but then I started treating him like his mom, well, then he's gonna start acting like he's my child. Or if I start acting like I'm his therapist, then he's gonna start acting like he's my client. And that's on me. Like, it's on me because I started that dynamic. I stepped into those roles and I kind of pushed them to start acting in those roles where I actually don't want them to be. When I think about it, I'm like, in my relationships, whether it's with my family or romantic relationships, I want to be an equal partner or an equal adult in this situation. Like, that is what I want for my relationships going forward as an adult. And that also helped with, for example, my parents. It's like thinking about my mom as my mom forever and ever, and I'm just like the little kid. That doesn't feel as good as I get older. I'm 35 now, and being like, okay, well, we can be maybe 50% mother daughter and 50% adult like friendship in our relationship. And even just thinking about it in those terms of different roles has been really helpful in all sorts of ways. And when I look at romantic relationships for a lot of people, I realize why that's hard for us is because so many of us are in those roles of like mother child or father child. And I just realized like I don't want that. Um, I really don't want that in a romantic relationship. I want to be an adult, and I don't want to be anyone's child. I don't want to be anyone's mom. I want to be their partner. And that was really, really helpful to look at honestly and see all the ways where I've been acting like a mom or acting like a child and where that's on me. Because at the end of the day, like, you can blame people all you want, but all we can do is what we can do. And taking responsibility over my part in these relationships, it can be really hard to look at, and it can hurt a lot to be like, oh, I've been betraying myself in these ways. But it's so important. That's another piece that I realized was self-betrayal. And I realized that betrayal, I was like, okay, what's the difference between compromising and betraying? And I looked at like that in terms of wants and needs. So, how can I be in a relationship and compromise without feeling like I'm completely betraying myself? And the answer that me and the plants who I was working with helped me come up with is when you can communicate your wants, your desires, those can maybe be compromised on in a partnership, in a relationship, in whatever relationship that is. But when we're talking about needs, things that you feel like you need to have in a relationship to feel safe, to feel loved, to feel appreciated, if you compromise, in quotes, a need, then that can feel like a betrayal. So that's another reason why it's been so important for me to get clarity on what are things that I just want and desire, and what are things I think are necessary for me to have in a relationship that are deal breakers, that are non-negotiables. And if I'm compromising on those, I'm betraying myself. And I also think it's important to note that we are constantly evolving, we're constantly growing, and I think we need to be having these conversations a lot with the people we love in our lives, especially romantic partners, but everyone else too, is like making sure that you are open to yourself and the person who you're in a relationship with to change and to evolve and to grow. And that is very vulnerable. And takes a lot of courage to constantly have these conversations where you're saying, like, okay, actually, my wants and needs have changed. Can we talk about this? Actually, I have new boundaries now because I have different wants and needs. Can we talk about this? And to be able to communicate that, like I said, takes a lot of bravery and a lot of courage, because we know, like, oof, at any point, this person could walk away. Like, that's what another thing I realized recently was I've become a little bit scared in the last few years, or maybe my whole life, of vocalizing my boundaries and my wants and needs, because in the past, when I've done that, the other person leaves. And so there's a part of me that's learned, ooh, it's unsafe to ask for what I want and be clear on what I want, because if I do that, then the other person might leave. And so it's better for me to just contort and become the person that they want me to be and need me to be. And I can just make myself happy because their needs are more important than mine. And I'm an empath. I can, like, figure it out and I can feel how they're feeling, and it's blah, 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 blah. Like, that has been what I've been doing. And it feels so disempowering. And my body has been rebelling against that, in all kinds of different ways. But anger is a really common one of being like, no more. We're not taking shit. Like, you need to stand up for yourself. And it's okay if people leave. It's okay if people leave when I'm being kind to myself and compassionate to myself and to them by voicing what I need and being honest. And if they need to leave, that's okay. Like, I know that I will be okay with that. I know that I'm strong enough to handle that. And the people who are in my life will be willing to have these vulnerable conversations. And also, if they need to leave for a while, that doesn't mean that they need to leave forever. Like, maybe they can come back when my needs have changed or theirs have changed. But it's about understanding that people can change and being open to that, and also holding space for yourself to have that change. And that is so much that I just threw out there. But basically, I've been learning a lot about myself and having a lot of fun running ayahuasca retreats. We are going to have another one next week. We just had another one last week. And then we're going to have a little bit of a break, but we plan on having retreats next year, both in Peru and hopefully in Europe and possibly even Argentina. So if you're interested, please let me know. And let me know if there's anything that you want me to talk about on these podcasts. I really want to have Lou on the podcast very soon. He wants to be a guest again soon. But yeah, if there's anything you want me to talk about, anything you're curious about related with plant medicines or my sex, love, relationship coaching program, or anything else, please let me know. I love hearing from you guys, and I'm excited to be back on the podcast. So hopefully we'll talk soon. Sending you so much love.